Hello everyone, my name is Gary Waterman. It's the 19th of May 2024. Hopefully you've seen some of my other videos. I'll put a link in the description to my Telegram channel, which shows most of the videos, or you can see them on YouTube on @garythetruthsetsusfree, although that is being suppressed and videos deleted. Now, I've put this document together a few days ago, and it's just showing the extent of the reference numbers and the reports that I've made. Please note these are not the only reports. There is also what will be undoubtedly a 100,000 word statement which details everything and various other reports that have been made as well on top of that. So this is supplementary to that, and you will see at the end the response that I've recently had, and I think you will be absolutely blown away by the blatant corruption in all of this. So these are the earlier reports. You can see there's a Serious Fraud Office reference number report, Dorset Police Crime reference number, Action reference number. They gave me the incorrect one at first, so I was given another one. The Financial Conduct Authority reference number, the Lloyds Bank complaint reference number. The complaint is still never been finalised. Okay, I haven't heard anything at all back. That was well over a year ago, and that complaint was about the forged bank documents that I had in my possession through my company. You've got the Dorset Police complaint reference number because I had to start complaining. The Independent Office for Police Conduct complaint reference number as well. Now, as well as this, there are within my statement it details various emails, in fact many emails, hundreds of emails in fact, between myself and politicians and the Home Office and people within the police. And the Home Office refused to intervene with this. The Independent Office for Police Conduct refused to intervene and deal with it. The Serious Fraud Office. And in fact, they were all fairly insistent that the same force, so my previous force that I had information to suggest was involved in it, along with the Police and Crime Commissioner's Office, dealt with it, even though I'd been put in danger by them supplying, my previous force supplying sensitive information to a prime suspect that I'd already named. So the Home Office and the organisations outside of Dorset Police were still insistent that Dorset Police deals with the investigation. It was a complete cover-up, complete corruption, and they're very clearly all part of this. So 31st of just in the middle there is 31st of January 2024. Again, I spoke with Dorset Police. So this next bit of the document is going to show you how the escalation of my reports continued, because it was now very apparent that how serious this was in relation to the child protection element as well. So then I reported it to Action Fraud, as I was told by Dorset Police. Now, I have had absolutely no response from Action Fraud at all, even though I've made numerous reports. And you will see as we go through the extent of this. So second call was made to HMRC, made on the 16th of February 2024, to complain about the fraud in relation to the taxation system and its links to child trafficking. I've now refused to pay any tax because of all of this. The operator agreed that the taxation system was criminal and fraudulent. I was informed I would have received a response, but I've heard nothing back. So I was trying to make a complaint. This is one of at least 2 calls that have been recorded, and I was guaranteed I'd receive a response back to formalise my complaint. I have never received a call back, and that underneath is just a link showing a video to that call being made. This is another one, a call to Action Fraud on the 20th of February 2024, reporting the extent of the fraud and its association to child trafficking. Numerous suspects were named, including top politicians, the Prime Minister, and various other people in my organisation, and some other organisations as well. And that is the link to that call, showing that call on the video. Okay, so obviously I was aware, started to become aware in early March, I believe, of a child in the care system on the Isle of Wight, which is very relevant because it connects to my company, etc., and various other things. You need to look at the videos to understand that. So this is now just showing that I made a call to Hampshire and Isle of Wight Police on the 10th of March regarding the concerns for a child in the care system. I was told I would receive a call back within 2 days. I have still heard nothing, and there is the link to the video of that call. This is a report that was made to Dorset Police on the 26th of March 2024. There's the police reference number, and it said, so this is copied from the, before I did the online reports, you'll see this is what was, I copied from that report into a document so I could see what I had reported to them. But then there's the reference number at the top. As you will know from my previous reports, irrefutable evidence of international fraud linked to child trafficking and to Dorset Police is circulating the globe. Those involved with my company removed me discriminately as a director after uncovering the fraud and are trying to enforce my service charge payments through an illegal civil case into a fraudulent process to victimise me further, and where the judge is linked to the fraudulent system. Now, I know this is a little bit more personal to me. Please know this. I started to realise very quickly it wasn't about me at all. It was about, the whole reason this was happening to me was because I was uncovering that and the huge picture. So I've come to the conclusion that my property is lost. It's worth nothing. So I've been probably defrauded of well over £200,000, if not over 300,000 with interest on the mortgages, etc. But it's not about me. I'm not vindictive. I'm not even angry at these people. But this is me reporting it, A, to protect me, but B, to give an overview as to where this started to these authorities and the larger picture in it as well. So I'll just read on. So those involved with my company removed me discriminately as a director after uncovering the fraud and are trying to enforce my service charge payments through an illegal civil case into a fraudulent process to victimise me further, and where the judge, so I found out the judge is linked to the fraudulent system. You'll see I've done a video on this, so if you look on my YouTube, you can see the evidence supporting this sentence, or this section that I'm looking at now. They have refused any measures to prevent further victimisation. Now, those measures are very simple. You have a transparent financial system in place in relation to the management of real estate, where you see the source of the payments in relation to that particular real estate and where the money is being sent, etc. Also, a signed management agreement in relation to any management of that real estate. I'm being told there is one. They're refusing to show it to me. That's because it will expose them even more to what they're being part of in this fraudulent system. There's a lot more to this, but I'll just read on anyway, because there's a lot on this document. They have refused any measures to prevent further victimisation. My company itself is an illegal entity, so I cannot make any legal application. That's absolutely true. If a company is not registered lawfully, they shouldn't be trading. So, i.e., if there's a forgery in their register, then they're an illegal entity company. They cannot literally do a thing lawfully. They can't make a phone call, cannot act as a company in any way. They certainly can't make any legal application. This, unfortunately, means my counterclaim can also not be processed, because I've made a counterclaim which I'm certain I would have won, and that was in relation to the management of the building, where there had not even been a fire risk assessment since 2017 after the Glenfell Tower, which means the building was unsafe, because you have to have a fire risk assessment. The fire brigade are now fully aware of this. Unfortunately, the fire brigade are involved with this system of fraud as well. So the building is still unsafe. It's worth nothing. I can't rent my property. I can't sell it, etc. There's a whole other story to that into why it's not safe, but that's not really relevant to the masses. So I'm not going to go into it. This, unfortunately, but I was going to make a counterclaim based on the mismanagement of the building, and I'd been paying for the insurances, which would have been void. I'd been paying for the management of the building, which hadn't been done appropriately, and it had been linked to this fraudulent system. So, of course, I had a claim to take back some of the money that I'd paid into this criminal process. The courts are refusing to provide suitable legal documents and have exposed the corrupt legal system even further. So I was receiving documents from the court saying about me attending the court process and the consequences in either myself or the company not attending, but there was no identification of who was producing those documents at all. Nothing whatsoever, even though they're classed as a legal document, because obviously there's legal consequences, which is what they're stating by not going. But there was absolutely no identifying mark or signature or name on the bottom of those documents. So I queried this. I went, sent various emails to the court process and said, look, can you explain why aren't you putting who created this document? They have refused to even provide an explanation at all. It's all part of this fraudulent system. It's all a crime, a deceit, criminal process, and it's all linked back to the forgery in the company's house registration. Anyway, I'll read on. So remember, this is the report I made to Dorset Police. Any court process or subsequent action regarding my property will be completely unlawful, and I will be justified in taking remedial action, which includes the increasing necessity to form public arrest teams to peacefully arrest those involved due to them becoming an imminent threat to mankind. Those that should be acting on this information are not doing so, forcing the public to take appropriate action. Much of the evidence is being shown in the YouTube link below, and there are thousands of supporting documents. All government organisations appear to be refusing to take responsibility for this, and there's the YouTube link. Suspect details can be supplied on request. Okay, so this was just showing how it linked into my building and why the enforcement of my payments is connected to it. I mean, there's so much more to this, but I'm trying to keep it relevant to the masses and also showing the reports that have been made. Okay, so this next one is a video showing the report being made to the Metropolitan Police on the 27th of March 2024 regarding the concerns for a child and the wider implications on children within the care systems. This was the child on the Isle of Wight. And that linked back to, as I've said, to my company, to the child trafficking and to the fraud very significantly. Okay, so these were reports made on the 30th of March 2024 to most UK police forces. And I've just put the Isle of Wight case reference number and the officer that was based in Hillingdon that had that report, according to the information I have. So here is an example of the summary of the report made to each police force across the UK, made in writing and online through their websites. The reference numbers for each report is shown below. And this was the report. I'm a former police officer with 18 years service, a Christian and a victim of this fraud. There are millions of victims of international government fraud regarding taxation and real estate that is linked to child trafficking and illegal wars. This is happening through the forgery of the company's house register, forged incorporation documents and forged bank documents being produced by the banks. It links to multiple high-profile deaths, including top police officers and most financial scandals. For the evidence, please see the YouTube channel here. Multiple suspect details can be provided on request. There is an almost 100,000 word statement and thousands of supporting documents showing irrefutable evidence of this crime, and all is now within the public domain and circulating the globe through evidential documents and videos, with many challenging MPs and refusing to pay tax to compel a change. My wife and I cannot return home due to disclosure being made to prime suspects by government organisations. That includes my very own force, Put Me in Danger, and the Independent Office for Police Conduct. So these are the report numbers. So that what I've just read was put on all of these reports numbers. Okay, so all of this has been reported to these forces that you can see. Derbyshire Police, a Dorset Police one was also completed on the same date. Now I think there was 2 or 3 police forces that I couldn't report to for one reason or another, but so obviously I was very concerned, and I was trying to say to them, look, there's fraud, it's linked to child trafficking, there's children at risk, you need to do something about it. And the response I had back was one response out of all of those, and here it is, 27th of March, here's the email. I've just redacted my email address because it's my personal one. You see at the top there, wiltshire.pnn, you can see part of the email address. And so this was Wiltshire, and it said, good afternoon, thank you for your report. Unfortunately, refusing to pay tax isn't something the police will investigate. If you have been a victim of fraud, I would advise you to report this to Action Fraud. And that is it. Out of all of those reports I just showed you, that is the only response. Okay, so we'll read on anyway. So this is, I think most of this is in chronological order. This was a video link there showing a call made to a solicitor regarding concerns for the child care on the Isle of Wight. So you can look at that on my YouTube channel. Another call made to Hampshire and Isle of Wight on the 11th of April 2024 regarding concerns for the child on the Isle of Wight and the wider implications on children within the care system. So the evidence I had was that everyone around that, or most organisations around that child and individuals within that organisation were linked to this international trafficking system and the fraud as well through Companies House. Here's a video link now showing a call made to the NSPCC on the 11th of April regarding concerns of the child and the wider implications on children within the care system. So I gave quite significant information. You can watch that video. I have had absolutely no response. So all of these reports now, no response at all from any of them. A 999 call was made to Hampshire Police on the 11th of April regarding concerns for the child and the implications on children within the care system. No response. Had already made various response on the non-emergency line, was promised calls back, remember, and I've had nothing whatsoever. And all I was wanting to do at that point was share the evidence with them so that they can make an informed and accurate decision about my concerns. They still don't have that evidence because they're refusing to accept it. Report made to Dorset Police on the 12th of April 2024. This was more of a personal report, really, because of the concerns and the risks involved to myself and my family, and that was a report number at the top. My wife and I cannot return home to Dorset Police, and the Independent Office for Police Conduct have shared information about my reports with the named prime suspect in relation to international government fraud linked to child trafficking. This is my home address, so these are just taken from sections within that online report. You know, when you do you have all the boxes, so this is just copied from it. This is my home address, although I'm unable to unable to attend the location at this current time due to safety concerns caused by Dorset Police and the Independent Office for Police Conduct. As you're aware from previous reports, I'm a former Dorset police officer and have irrefutable evidence of international government fraud and child trafficking closely connected to Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. That's my company. This relates to the forgery of the Companies House register against the attached incorporation documents to create unlawful entity companies that should never have been trading, along with forged bank documents being produced by the banks to falsify these companies' accounts. Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited has been created in this way and is linked closely to Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, Max Clifford, politicians, their special advisors, the World Trade Centre disaster and a parliamentary UK island group, with information suggesting there is a systematic child abuse and the murder of children from within the care service. Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited has unlawfully employed a solicitor, Brady Solicitors, to proceed with a civil court case to pursue my withholding of service charge contributions for me to ensure that I am no longer victimised in relation to over £167,000 that appears to have been emitted by others, as well as fraud utilising insurance companies and others, for me to have been victimised by over £200,000. This is in relation to the purchase of my flat. I'd started to make counterclaim, but this cannot also proceed due to the information of the unlawful entity element of the fraud. They cannot act, and I cannot legally hold them to account. Despite being aware of this and being informed not to contact me any further on the 12th of April 2024, Mitchell Blakeman of Brady Solicitors, if correct details have been provided, emailed me against my wishes. I have supplied evidence that Brady Solicitors is also linked to this system of fraud, as well as the judge for the case. This information is in the public domain for mine and others' financial and physical protection. It's obviously in the interest of the public as well. No unlawful entity company can act in any way, including initiating any court process, as the incorporation of the company must have been lawful in the first place. This is a criminal process under the 2006 Fraud Act, in that it causes a risk of financial loss to victims and unlawful gain to others, and is harassment due to the contact being made against my wishes. You can't have a lawful entity making any phone calls whatsoever. Okay, as soon as they've been given an opportunity to explain the discrepancies of that unlawful creation and they refuse to do so, they can't respond. It's harassment. Okay, you need to know they're a lawful entity company, that they've been registered correctly. Okay, because all companies, Limited, LLP and PLC, have to be registered with Companies House before they can even trade. And of course Companies House know this. They're part of the fraud, they're part of the system. Government organisations would know this. They are all part of this, unfortunately. I'd always paid my service charges prior to knowing about this, and I'm happy to continue to do so when a safeguarded system is in place as I had been trained to arrange before I was discriminately removed as a director for identifying the fraud. National peaceful arrest teams are now having to be seriously considered, as all government organisations, including Dorset Police, are ignoring the evidence and the financial risks to the public and the safety of their children. This was a further report made to Dorset Police on the 8th of May, and there's a reference number. So I put previous, have I been previously victimised? This is what I put in the in the box. Yes, I had. Fraud, harassment, and I suspect an attempt was made on my life. Another box said, my wife and I cannot return home due to Dorset Police and the Independent Office Police Conduct sharing information regarding my reports to a prime suspect despite me having been followed. Had tracking apps trying to be installed on my phone, emails infiltrated, and items attempted to be taken from our vehicle. I also suspect it has been made on my life. And I've put the location, which was in a separate box on the online form, of Langdale Road in Barnsley. Now, if you look at section 7, or part 7 of my Rishi Sunak video, I've explained that particular incident in more detail. Exbourne Manor is my home address, but my wife and I cannot return home due to the reasons already explained. I'm a former, and then this is within the summary. Again, I'm repeating myself, but they're not responding, so I'm having to keep getting it documented as well as the progression of the evidence and the information. I'm a former non-substantive sergeant for Dorset Police, where I served from 2006 until 2018. On the 24th of January 2024, I suspect an attempt was made on my life by poisoning. This was not reported at the time due to it becoming clear that the UK government, police and other organisations were involved in the related crime, and me needing to release evidence to the public first for theirs and my protection. This suspected attempt was likely in relation to me identifying international government fraud linked to child trafficking, my company, Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, the intelligence agencies Russia and Ukraine. This involves the forgery of the company's house registration system and forged bank documents being produced by the banks. My company has been identified as an illegal entity company created through forgery, and therefore it cannot act in any way. Despite being presented with the evidence of this, the legal process is still insistent on pursuing my non-payment of service charges in relation to my company, trying to force me to be victimised again. The harassment and now theft of the money I'd initially paid to make a counterclaim against my property, which is not possible due to it having been created through fraud and not being a legal entity. There is evidence suggesting the legal system has been set up around this system of fraud, and I've been placed in significant danger by my own former force and the Independent Office for Police Conduct due to me having proof of their involvement and them sharing sensitive information about my reports with already named prime suspects. Despite making various reports regarding much of this, I've had no response from Dorset Police or Action Fraud. This report will be placed into the public domain along with the generated reference numbers, as have the others. Now, my main reason for doing that was to disclose the risk to me in the hope that it prevents anything happening to me so I can continue exposing what is going on in relation to all this. Now, after all of that, okay, so bearing in mind you've only seen some of the reports, that is not even all of them, over the last couple of years, and of course there's still my evidential statement, which will detail emails, documents, thousands of documents in fact, and that will be released, especially if anything happens to me, because that will be released in full, naming everyone. If anything happens to me, there's things in place for that to happen. But this is a call, unbelievably, I received on the 11th of May. Okay, so it's now the 19th of May, and you can see it's from this number, which is a Dorset Police number. Okay, this is a number that I use quite often. And during this call, unfortunately, I didn't get to record it in time because it was I didn't realise. The only thing they said to me is, Gary, we have had a call from somebody, and I'm not going to name them, that I've been mentioning a lot in my videos, and they have said, please can you stop mentioning them in your videos. Unbelievable. So I said, well, what about all of the reports that I've been making? And I explained, and this was an officer that I've worked with, or certainly knew within Dorset Police, lovely guy. And I said, look, do you want me to tell you what this is about? And he said, honestly, Gary, I have no idea what this is about. Honestly, I don't know. Do you want me to tell you what it's about then? And I explained everything to him. And I said, you need to speak to your colleagues. I suspect you are all at risk, including your families in this. Okay? But this is the response. So out of all of those reports, I've had absolutely no contact for months and months and months. And suddenly I receive a call Not saying that they're looking into the child trafficking, not saying that they're going to accept the evidence to look at and review all of this from me, not saying that there's something going on in the background, that they're trying to resolve this. Literally just saying, Gary, don't mention this person anymore. Now that it's a friendly harassment warning, basically. And this just shows the extent of this in this very phone call, shows how serious this all is, because they are ignoring the real problem in all of this, which is the fraud and the child trafficking through the banking system and the company's house registration system. God bless you all. Take care. Bye.